Oh, the dead don't die any more than you or I. They're just ghosts inside a dream of a life that we don't know. They walk around soft.
Hello, everyone.
Never paid any mind.
It's 10 o'clock on your Friday night on 92.5 WLSD The Vault. And I'm Adam, and you're listening to Real Talk. And you're listening to the song The Dead Don't Die by Sturgill Simpson. The afterlife goes on. So, if you didn't know, we are going to dive into the movie The Dead Don't Die. But before we do that, please go to all of our social media pages. That's the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People Show. I want to give a shout out tonight to Lana and Wes. They're listening on our great web stream, that is WLSDradio.com. And a get well soon to Jeremiah and Amber. They can't be with us tonight. We were originally going to dive into a movie called Late Night with the Devil. We're going to do that one next week. And then I think the week after that, we have another guest in studio, and we're going to dive into something that you might not expect. So you never really know what film or what movie we're going to jump into here, because I didn't really know, to be honest with you, until maybe, I would say maybe noon, that I was going to dive into The Dead Don't Die. And this might be a movie that has kind of flown under your radar. You may never have heard of it before, but I'm very sure that you're aware of all the cast members that have been in this film. But before we get into that, let's talk about a little bit about what The Dead Don't Die is essentially. And it's about two pioneers fight for their lives and the love of the American frontier during the Civil War. No, I'm just kidding you. Now that honestly is what the synopsis says on the IMDb page of The Dead Don't Die. But that's not really what the film was about. The film is pretty much a satire, a spoof, a send-up of zombie films. So basically, in a small town of the town, I'm going blank on the name of the town. But in this town, weird things begin to happen. It starts being daylight longer. Night turns into day, basically, and gets shorter and shorter and shorter. And the undead suddenly begin to come up. But these aren't your typical zombies in the way that they are in maybe 28 Days Later or Dawn of the Dead or the newer generation of zombie films. No, these zombies are slow. These zombies, now they will rip you to shreds. They will, if they grab a hold of you, they'll rip your vocal cords out like nobody's business, and you won't be able to speak forever. But besides that, you could easily outmaneuver and get away from these zombies because they're slow and they gravitate towards things that they did in real life that they really enjoyed. For example, if I was continuously drinking water in the aftermath, then, when I'm actually a zombie, then that's what I would be going to during being a zombie. I would go around just drinking and drinking and drinking water. And that's pretty much it. So this is not quite the zombie movie that that you might expect either, because it's if you're going into it expecting a stereotypical film of the zombie kind, it's not that at all. It's not going to be that at all. So if you do go into it with that, you will be very disappointed in that. Because I know several people have talked to me about it, and they have come across and they've said, listen, this is not the movie that I expected. This was not the movie that I really, really wanted to watch. I'm very disappointed in this. So if you go into it expecting a fast pace, edge of your seat, thrilling, bloodthirsty horror film of that genre, then you're not going to get that, because this is not that kind of movie. Now, if you're looking for some very dry-witted, satirical themes and elements, this might be up your alley. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about this, because this was a movie that I did see in the theater when it came out. And if I'm not mistaken, this movie came out, 2019. So 2019, which is, in essence, 5 years ago, this movie came out. And it came out with little fanfare outside of the, I don't even want to say the horror community, but outside of the director, Jim Jarmusch, his, devoted fans. I don't know how many people were actually looking forward to this film. Maybe some fans, when you hear the cast, maybe some of these fans maybe have wanted to catch the movie. But like I said, the director is Jim Jarmusch. If you don't know him, he's directed Johnny Depp in Dead Man. He also directed Forrest Whitaker in Ghost Dog, Way of the Samurai. He directed Bill Murray in Broken Flowers, and he also directed the guy who plays Tom Hiddleston. Hiddleston, yeah, in Only Lovers Left Alive, among other movies. But this is the film The Dead Don't Die. And this cast is a who's who's of anyone that knows anyone about actors and actresses. And it does have a good cast. It's got Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, Chloe Sevigny. It's got Danny Glover, Steve Buscemi, Tom Waits, Adam Driver, Rosie Perez, Selena Gomez. So it's got a lot of people in it. Raza. It's, and it's got several others that you will know. Iggy Pop, he pops in there on screen. So this does have a who's who's of castmates, and a little does go a long way in this movie, because a lot of the people just pop up as zombies within the movie. So a little bit, I don't want to get too much into the movie as far as the plot goes, because it just became available on Max this month. So it's available there if you have HBO Max. You can go there and check it out. But listen to my review first, and this is going to be the trivia section. So there will be a few spoilers, but nothing that would take away your enjoyment of the movie. So during the movie, before we get into the spoilers or facts, I read you the cast, and we all know Bill Murray from the countless movies that he's been in. But he decided to kind of hook up with this director, Jim Jarmusch, as he did with the, I think it was 2008 movie, maybe 9, Broken Flowers. And that's another very minimalist kind of Jim Jarmusch kind of way. And, if you've seen Sling Blade, which we reviewed on the show last May, Jim Jarmusch plays the he serves Billy Bob's character some taters. So he serves them in some French fries. So yeah, he's got the little hat on. He works at like a little custard stand, something like that. So the general public may not know his things, his movies, but you've seen, he attracts these names. Bill Murray's been in multiple ones, but this is late Bill Murray career, which kind of kicked off with Lost in Translation when he started segueing into, semi-serious fare. He did the Wes Anderson films, Life Aquatic, and then he did Rushmore, and then he's had small parts in other ones. And this is the same with Jim Jarmusch, as he's turned up in Broken Flowers, that's more of just a solo venture for Bill Murray. And I would recommend checking that out if you like that slow-paced, more character-driven type film where there's no explosions and it's more leisurely and it's more minimalistic and things like that. Whereas this movie is more of an ensemble, where Bill Murray and Adam Driver do lead the ensemble. I think sometimes the movie veers off to ways that if these characters weren't on screen, it wouldn't take away from the plot. Like, for example, the Selena Gomez subplot, it's her and two other friends. Their subplot, if they weren't even in the film, it wouldn't just take away from the film whatsoever. I mean, it wouldn't change the outcome. It would change nothing about the movie at all. Which, a lot of times I look at films when I'm doing this as if the side plot, or if there's a side plot, distracts or takes away from the main plot, or if you take it out, has no bearing on anything, then why do you have it in there? And there's a couple of instances like that in If the Dead Don't Die. But, I've not seen a lot of Jim Jarmusch's movies. I've only seen the few that I've named. So he's had, maybe I think 10 or 12 movies altogether. So I'm no expert on his film, and I'm not really an expert at this movie. But it was the most recent one that I'd watched all the way through. So there's some giant ant hills that are in the film, and they were actually real, and they were an accidental discovery. Because when they were filming the hermit scene, when you see the movie, it's one of the first scenes. When you see Hermit Bob in the woods, that's when they actually discovered that anthill. And Jim liked the anthill so much that he added the scene and dialogue on the spot. So, that's kind of the set that they would probably be on. These are a lot of like independent sets are like that. When if you work with the same group of people quite a bit, and this was with Tom Waits, that he knows Tom Waits can come up with some dialogue. Look at this cool find right here. Let's incorporate that into the movie. All right, here's the point, or maybe here's some dialogue that get these points in this little monologue I'm going to have you say. Here's the points. Make it your own. Go. And that's kind of how it goes a lot of the time, which is a very cool, it's a very freeing way to work. And it's also, it's a little bit scary to work that way if you're not around people that do that often, or if you're the one that's, thrown into it, never done it before. It can be a little scary that way too. Another little bit of trivia, the singer of the film's theme song Sturgill Simpson has a cameo as a zombie with the guitar. And that is an actual song that's played throughout the movie. Not this one. This is played too. Another little bit of trivia, and if you watch this, pay close attention. When Adam Driver pulls up to the diner in his small red smart car, the sounds are taken from a Star Wars vehicle sound effect. Later, when he hands off the keys to one of the characters, she notes the Star Wars keychain that he has. Both of these scenes are obviously in reference to Adam Driver and his involvement with the Star Wars franchise, as he played the character Kylo Ren. So I thought that was kind of a little cool thing to put that in there. Also, it's said that Tilda Swinton gave Jim Jarmusch the idea of doing a zombie movie when they worked together on Only Lovers Left Alive. And this was the first of Jim Jarmusch's in his 35-year career to receive a widescreen release, which is 600 screens plus opening weekend. Like I said, he was a independent filmmaker. Usually his films would play in a couple of hundred, and 600, 600 is low even, to be honest. I mean, if my film goes in one or two, I'd be happy. But you might be wondering, who's this Tilda Swinton that he keeps mentioning? Now, you may not know her name, but I do know that you've probably seen her in many, many things. She's I'm trying to think what nationality she is. I don't think she's British. See if I can find it here. But she's been in many, many things that you all probably have heard of or have seen. And she was in the George Clooney movie Michael Clayton. And actually, Michael Clayton is a very good movie. I watched it not really by mistake one time, but I just happened to watch it because I never had watched it before, and I just wanted to see what it was about. So I did. But Tilda, she was recently in The Killer, which we talked about on here, Asteroid City. She was in what was it called? 3,000 Years of Longing. She was in the French Dispatch. I'm getting tongue-tied tonight. French Dispatch. Uncut Gems, The Dead Don't Die. What We Do in Shadows. She was the Ancient One in The Avengers. She was the German politician in War Machine, if you saw that Brad Pitt Netflix movie. She was the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. Diana in Trainwreck. So she's been in, a lot of movies. Now, I came to know about her, I'm thinking, in The Beach with Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah, but after that, she really just took off because she was in The Beach, Vanilla Sky, Adaptation, Constantine as Gabriel. She's in Broken Flowers, and a lot of the ones I just named. Michael Clayton. She is the White Witch in the Chronicles of Narnia. She's Elizabeth Abbott in The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. So, you've seen her. You may not know her name, but you have seen her. So this movie does have, and I say that to say this movie does have a good cast. I mean, there's no putting down the cast at all. But we'll see. We'll see in just a moment. The movie made $6.5 million in America and $15.3 million worldwide. I'm thinking from what I found varying degrees of budgetary, anywhere from 8 million to about 15 million. So anywhere in between there. So it wasn't a blockbuster by any stretch of the imagination, but Jim Jarmusch's movies typically aren't. It was seen as somewhat of a disappointment considering the cast. It had a 55% Rotten Tomatoes score, 38% audience score, and a 5.5 IMDb score. So let's get into a little bit of the questions that we like to ask on Real Talk. The plot in the story, like I said, some fracking or something occurs, something to do with climate change happens. It awakes the people from the undead, or they become undead, or they're undead and wake up, and they gravitate toward things that they enjoy. This old couple, well, they're not really old, but an older couple gravitate and go toward this diner because they are always there drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes and cigars. Oh, that scared me. Whew. Sorry, everyone. I'm the only one here in studio tonight, and that just scared me. Whew, scared me. Sorry. That was like the Perfect Strangers theme or something. But yeah, it's, they go into the diner, they're smoking the cigarette, the cigar, they've got the coffee, they're pouring the coffee, and that's coffee. And that's the joke. And they're just, so the jokes run a little flat, I think, on a couple of them. The dialogue with between Adam Driver and Bill Murray's character, I think they're the highlight of the movie. Bill Murray is Chief Cliff Robertson, and Adam Driver is Officer Ronnie Peterson. So I think they're the highlights of the film. Now, the makeup of the zombies is outstanding. There's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, it looks as good, if not better, than most zombie movies that I've seen. So there's no mistaking the job is by pure professionals. Characters, like I said, Bill Murray and Adam Driver, those two characters are the best characters in the film. You've got everyone else is more of a glorified cameo, I guess. I mean, you've got Steve Buscemi, and he's probably in 10, 12 minutes of the movie. Same with Danny Glover, Selena Gomez. If you put all their time in the movie, they're in at 10, 12 minutes of the film, whereas Bill Murray and Adam Driver probably are in 40, 45 minutes of the film. But everyone does a good job with the material that they're given. But the material that they're given, even by minimalistic and dry comedic standards, is very, very dry. It's even more dry than the comedy that we try to do on this show. And now you're scratching your head thinking, wait, you've been trying to do comedy? That's how it is often watching this movie. You're scratching your head thinking, Bill Murray's in it, and they're doing kind of odd things, but there's not any jokes. And there's not any jokes at all. Not really. That the Dead Don't Die song, that is a joke, an ongoing running joke. And Adam Driver's character says this phrase over and over. This isn't going to end well. This isn't going to end well. This isn't going to end well. Things like this never end well. He says that 7 or 8 times, so you know. And then he's a really tall guy. He's driving a smart car. The Star Wars jokes. So it's got these little tiny jokes. So if you like that kind of thing, I think you need to check it out. Maybe. I'll tell you at the end of the show. I can't tell you now. Favorite or least favorite scene? I would say any scene that there's an interaction between Billy Murray and Adam Driver. So Cliff and Ronnie. Any of their interactions are probably the highlights of the movie. And the first time the song is played. Maybe the second. That's what I would say. Least favorite scene, I would say the subplot featuring Selena Gomez and her friends. I don't think that's a needed subplot. I think it's a waste of time. I think it's dull. I think it's rather boring, to be honest with you. And I think it's completely unnecessary. They're these little hipster kids, hipster teens or early 20-year-old. And one of them happens to be, what's his name? Austin Butler, who recently played Elvis Presley. So he plays a guy named Jack in this movie. But it's early Austin Butler. The score, I mean, I think it's a good score. I can't really complain. So yeah, it's a good score. I mean, I don't think the score is better than the movie. It's better than the movie. But yet I've watched this movie like twice this week. Not all at once. So originality. Yeah, I do think this is an original movie. It's an original take on the zombie genre. And I wish it was done a little bit better. I wish I would have had this cast. I think all you would have had to do is spruce up some of the dialogue and make more things happen in the movie. And I do like the poster. I put the poster up on my Facebook. There's a couple of different variations, but this one's just the zombie hand coming up around the cast: Bill Murray, Tilda Swinton, Steve, Caleb Landry Jones, Iggy Pop, Raza, Selena Gomez, Adam Driver, Chloe Sevigny, Danny Glover, Rosie Perez, Sarah Driver, Carol Kane, Tom Waits, a film by Jim Jarmusch, The Dead Don't Die, and the full moon above it for the creepy effect. And the colors are really vivid: blue on the left, red on the right. So yeah, I think the poster's I think it's a fantastic poster. But it all comes down to this: would I recommend you, the listening audience, to spend your time watching The Dead Don't Die? And The Dead Don't Die, let's see how long The Dead Don't Die is, because time is valuable. So before I give you my complete recommendation or not recommendation, this is almost right in the middle. Okay, here's what I'll do. You watch the first 10 minutes of the movie. And if you like what you see within the first 10 minutes, then continue. And obviously you can cut the movie off anytime you want to. That's the prerogative you have. But that's what I'm going to say. Now, if you don't like, because the trailer is a little bit misleading. The trailer makes it seem like it's more fast-paced and the movie trailer makes it seem like it's more rapid-fire comedic fashion, when the movie is not a fast-paced movie. It's a very dry movie. It's a very slow movie. The slowness of the zombies equate to how slow tempoed the movie is. Like, the only way that I would not be able to get out of the studio is if they were standing in the doorway, because obviously I couldn't really run through them. But if they were to my left or to my right, not obstructing my way, I could easily get through. So these aren't like as threatening as 28 Days Later or Dawn of the Dead or The Walking Dead or things like that. These aren't. They look threatening like that, but they're moving at a snail's pace, so you should be okay. So I'm saying, give it 10 minutes. If you think you're going to like it, give it some more. I'm not giving you a full recommendation of this movie because I don't recommend it for myself. But I will watch it again. I like to go back just to see, because I do like the cast. I do like the concept, just to see if sometimes if I miss it or if I'm right on. I mean, there's some times when, hey, I'm human. I sometimes get movies wrong. Not often. Now, I don't really think that we've ever really given a wrong recommendation on this show, to be honest with you. I really don't. I mean, I'm honest with you on this show about the films. Now, on the other people's show, I'm not as honest about things because it's a show. But on Real Talk, I'm giving you the honest truth. So yeah, give The Dead Don't Die maybe about 10 minutes of your time. If you like that type of humor, that dry humor, then continue. If not, it's okay to bail. It's on Max though. Next week, I think we're going to be diving into Late Night with the Devil. That's an interesting one. And then in the future, we're going to have, I know we've got Mars Attacks, Drop Dead Fred. I know there's another one, Black Swan. We might even throw in maybe Autumn in New York. Maybe a romantic drama. There's Something About Mary. Trainwreck. Who knows? But anyway, thank you all for tuning in tonight to Real Talk on 92.5 WAXM The Vault, WLSDradio.com. And please go to all of our social media pages. That's the Facebook, Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram, The Other People Show. Please share, like, and subscribe. It's free. I won't bombard you. Just giving you updates. And it really does help out. Just hit the share button as well. Much appreciated. Stay tuned for The Other People's Show in just a moment. Have a good night.